In 1971, a 10-year-old boy was pulled out of school in Hong Kong and sent to live in a compound where grown men beat him every single day. They threw him into walls, they made him hold splits until his legs went numb, they broke his nose twice, and when he cried, they hit him harder. His name was Chan Kong Sang, you know him as Jackie Chan. But here is what makes his story different from every other martial arts legend you have heard about. Jackie Chan wasn't supposed to be Jackie Chan, he was supposed to disappear. And the fact that he didn't tells you everything you need to know about what happens when someone refuses to accept the role the world has written for them. Let's start with what that compound actually was. The China Drama Academy wasn't a school in any sense you'd recognize. It was a Peking Opera training facility run by a man named Yu Jimuan, and it operated on a system that would be illegal today in most countries. Parents signed contracts giving the academy complete control over their children for up to 10 years. In exchange, the kids got room, board and training. What they didn't get was childhood. Training started at 5 in the morning. Acrobatics, martial arts, opera singing, tumbling. By the time Jackie was 12, he could do a backflip off a second-story balcony and land in a perfect stance. He could also barely read. His parents had signed the contract because they were poor and he was difficult. His father worked as a cook at the French embassy. His mother was a housekeeper. They had 9 children before Jackie, but most of them died young. Jackie was the one who survived, and survival meant being useful, so they sent him away. Now here's where the math gets uncomfortable. The Peking Opera was dying. By the 1960s, Chinese opera had become a relic, something old people watched and young people ignored. Television was taking over. Movies were everywhere. The traditional art form that the China Drama Academy was built to preserve was collapsing in real time, which meant every kid training there was preparing for a career that no longer existed. Jackie graduated in 1971. He was 17. He'd spent 7 years getting beaten into one of the most skilled physical performers in Hong Kong, and there was nowhere for him to go. The opera circuit was gone. The film industry was exploding, but it already had its stars. Bruce Lee was making global waves with a completely different style of martial arts cinema, serious, philosophical. Angry, Jackie was a skinny acrobat who'd been trained to do flips in stage makeup. He took work as a stuntman, 30 Hong Kong dollars a day, about $4 US, and then Bruce Lee died. August 1973. Lee collapsed during a dubbing session for Enter the Dragon and never woke up. The cause was listed as cerebral edema. He was 32 years old, and overnight, Hong Kong cinema entered a full-blown identity crisis. Every studio in the territory scrambled to find the next Bruce Lee. They needed someone who could fight, who could carry a film, who could fill the vacuum Lee had left behind. And because grief makes people desperate, they started cloning him. They gave Jackie Chan the stage name Sing Lung, which means become the dragon. They put him in a wig to match Lee's hairstyle. They made him scowl. They told him to move like Lee, fight like Lee, be Lee. And it didn't work. Jackie made several films trying to replicate Bruce Lee's intensity, and every single one of them flopped. Because Jackie Chan wasn't Bruce Lee. He couldn't be. Lee's power came from controlled fury, from the idea that he was always half a second away from killing you. Jackie's power came from the opposite. He looked like he was always half a second away from getting killed himself. That difference saved his career. In 1978, Jackie made a film called Snake in the Eagle's Shadow with a director named Yuen Wu Ping. It was a low-budget comedy. Jackie played an orphan who gets bullied constantly and learns kung fu from a homeless man. And instead of trying to look invincible, Jackie did something radical. He made himself the underdog. He got hit, he stumbled, he fell through tables and knocked over fruit stands and made faces at the camera. He turned kung fu into slapstick. The film made over 1 million Hong Kong dollars in its first week. That was more than Bruce Lee's films had made at the time. And just like that, Jackie Chan invented a new genre. The formula was deceptively simple. Take traditional martial arts choreography and add physical comedy. Make the hero vulnerable, make the fights messy. And improvisational, show the pain. And most importantly, do your own stunts, no doubles, no CGI, no safety nets. If the audience could tell it was really him getting hurt, they'd stay in their seats. Jackie's next film, Drunken Master, became one of the highest-grossing Hong Kong films of all time. He followed it with Project A, where he recreated Buster Keaton's famous clock tower fall. Except Jackie did it with no airbags and ended up fracturing his skull. In Police Story, he slid down a pole covered in exploding lights and burned his hands so badly he couldn't hold chopsticks for weeks. The blooper reels at the end of his films weren't jokes, they were evidence. By the mid-1980s, Jackie Chan was the biggest star in Asia, but he still couldn't break into America. Hollywood didn't know what to do with him. He didn't fit the mold. He wasn't threatening enough to be an action star. He wasn't white enough to be a leading man. He wasn't serious enough to be taken seriously. They cast him in a film called The Big Brawl in 1980. It bombed. They tried again in 1985 with The Protector, directed by James Glickenhaus. It was grim, violent, and completely incompatible with Jackie's style. Another failure. For 15 years, Jackie Chan was a superstar everywhere except the one place that mattered for global fame. And then in 1995, Rumble in the Bronx came out in North America. It wasn't even a new film, it had been released in Hong Kong a year earlier. But New Line Cinema took a gamble and gave it a wide release. It made over $32 million domestically. Suddenly, at 41 years old, Jackie Chan became an overnight success in America. Rush Hour followed in 1998. Then Shanghai Noon, then Kung Fu Panda, where Jackie voiced a character who was literally a parody of himself. By the 2000s, Jackie Chan was one of the most recognizable faces on the planet, and he had gotten there by doing the exact opposite of what every expert had told him to do. But here's where the story gets complicated. Jackie Chan's politics are a problem for a lot of people. He's been a vocal supporter of the Chinese Communist Party for decades. He's defended censorship. He's made comments dismissing democracy and suggesting that Chinese people need to be controlled. In 2009, he said that Hong Kong and Taiwan were too free and that freedom led to chaos. In 2013, he called America the most corrupt country in the world. These aren't minor statements, they're ideological positions that align him with an authoritarian government, and they've made him a deeply polarizing figure, especially among pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong who see him as a symbol of complicity. So how do you reconcile that with the boy who refused to quit? With the performer who risked his life thousands of times to make people laugh? With the stuntman who turned rejection into reinvention? You probably don't, because Jackie Chan's story isn't a morality tale. It's a case study in what happens when talent, timing, and relentless self-belief collide with geopolitics and personal compromise. He became the biggest action star in the world by rejecting the Bruce Lee model and embracing vulnerability. But he also became wealthy and protected by aligning himself with power structures that demand loyalty over dissent. There's no clean conclusion here. Jackie Chan is 71 years old now. He's made over 150 films. He's broken nearly every bone in his body. He's won honorary Oscars and been banned from performing his own stunts by insurance companies. He's beloved by millions and criticized by just as many. And after all of it, the question isn't whether Jackie Chan is a hero or a sellout. The question is whether you can be both at the same time.